let folks trickle in. Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are just going to give it a couple of minutes for people to trickle in, and then we will get started. All right, I am going to get started and people can continue to join. Again, welcome everybody. Thank you for being at tonight's meeting. Next slide, Jen. All right, this is just a notification that we will be recording this virtual public meeting. The MBTA may choose to retain and distribute the video, still images, audio, and/or transcript. By continuing attendance with this virtual public meeting, you consent to participate in a recorded event. If you're not comfortable being recorded, please turn off your camera and keep your microphone muted, or you may choose to excuse yourself from the meeting. Other important notes you may use whether you record or not. Your microphone and webcam are automatically disabled upon entering this meeting. This meeting will be open to questions and answers at the end of the formal presentation. And please take time to respond to our survey. Your feedback is important. For today's agenda, we will begin with welcome and introductions.
Hello.
Hello. Followed by Zoom directions. And then we will have an RTAG update, followed by updates from system-wide accessibility given by Laura Brelsford. Then we will have contactless payment launch presented by Carissa. Then we will have the MBTA's Mobility Center presented by Nicola, followed by feedback session for the above three parts, so system-wide accessibility, contactless payment, and the Mobility Center. Then we will have the ride updates given by Michelle Styler, followed by a ride feedback session, and then we will have our final closing remarks. Zoom directions for our ASL interpreters. Today, our interpreters are Elizabeth Keegan and Jackie Emmart. To view their video, find the interpreter's video in the gallery. In the top right corner of the interpreter's video, click the ellipses, then click the pin video option. This will keep the interpreter's video on your screen. Next slide. Zoom directions for cart captioning. Tonight, our cart captioner is Denise Gracia. To start viewing closed captioning, click closed caption with the CC icon. A tip is to click and drag the closed captioning to move its positioning in the meeting window. To adjust the caption size, click the upward arrow next to start video / stop video. Click video settings, then accessibility, and move the slider to adjust the caption size. Zoom directions for technical questions. If you have a technical question about Zoom or the features of the meeting, please use the chat function. Our technical assistant will attempt to troubleshoot your problem and get back to you. And now I'm going to turn it over to Nora Nagel, one of the RTAG co-chairs, to give an RTAG update. Go ahead, Nora.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming to the July Riders Transportation Access Group, or RTAG, meeting. As many of you, probably all of you know, we're a community-based group advising the MBTA on transportation matters impacting people with disabilities and older adults. Just to let you know, some encouraging progress has been made with the MBTA's safety team regarding the need to update the existing MassDOT 2015 bike lane design guidelines, especially how they relate to bus stops. Plans are underway to initiate a working group involving RTAG. Ultimately, the goal is to merge efforts with the biking community and MassDOT to collectively address the transportation safety concerns that have been raised over and over. Additionally, we continue to collaborate with Uber, Lyft, and the Department of Public Utilities around the Uber and Lyft issue. Recently, we met with DPU, which is re-examining its permitting renewal process and audits of TNCs, otherwise known as transportation network companies, which is what Uber and Lyft are, to gather more information on how they enforce their policies. Additionally, we've received reports of incidents where drivers are submitting false complaints against riders after refusing to transport them with service animals. So if something like this has happened to you, please contact RTAG and let us know. If you know of a local service animal user who's experienced an MBTA-related rideshare service animal refusal, please encourage them to contact RTAG directly. And I'll hand it back to Kat.
Thanks, Nora. I think I also might have sent you the wrong update. I have some additional updates as well that I want to share with folks. I just want to share that as many of you may be aware, RTAG has been advocating for the passage of Senate Bill 2600 in recent months, and this legislation aims to introduce automated enforcement for bus stops used by MBTA buses to issue citations to vehicles stopped in both bus stops and bus lanes. And in our latest July newsletter, we reported that the bus lane enforcement amendment did not pass through the Senate Ways and Means, but we did find out some positive news afterwards that the standalone bill did successfully clear the Senate Ways and Means and is currently awaiting consideration in the House Ways and Means Committee in the State House. So we just want to say we appreciate everyone's advocacy efforts, and we will continue to provide updates. And RTAG is also collaborating with the city and system-wide accessibility to address safety concerns we have regarding center running bus lanes, particularly with the upcoming Blue Hill Avenue project. We are currently conducting site visits and will be facilitating and organizing focus groups in these communities to gather input from community members. Please reach out to us if you have any thoughts or concerns regarding this project or center running bus lanes. We do really want people's input, and it is valuable to us. And with that, I will turn it to the next slide. And now we will have system-wide accessibility updates given by Laura Brailsford, the AGM of System-Wide Accessibility. Go ahead, Laura.
Thanks so much, Kat, and good evening, everyone. I'm going to be yielding the bulk of my time to two of my colleagues, but there were just a few updates I wanted to share with everyone. First, as I believe most people know, it's been a very busy year with respect to diversions here at the MBTA as we work to address a number of track improvements that are needed with the goal of making the operations of our trains safer and also faster by being able to remove a number of slow zones. The next most notable upcoming diversion is going to be on the B branch of the Green Line from August 2nd through 11th. Stations between Babcock and Boston College on the B branch are going to be shut down. And in place of Green Line service, bus shuttles will be running. The very good news about this particular diversion is that all of the bus shuttles that are going to be used are low floor ramp equipped buses. We will not be using any high floor lift equipped buses for this particular shuttle. With that in mind, we're not going to be providing supplemental vans this time around, given that all the buses will be low floor and ramp equipped. I just want to acknowledge the city of Boston, and in particular, the Disability Commission, who has worked to coordinate and collaborate with us to make a number of improvements to shuttle stops to make not only the stops more accessible, but the paths to the stops more accessible. So our hope is, as you're out there navigating this stretch of the city over the first half of August, you'll find that you have a relatively smooth diversion experience. But if you don't, we want to hear about that, and I'll tell you how in a second. Next slide. The other big update we want to share here tonight is that our new Charlie Service Center is going to be opening next week on July 29th. Folks will know this as the entity formerly known as the Charlie Card Store, which for many years was located in the bowels of downtown Crossing Station. Due to very serious concerns about that customer and working environment, the Charlie Card Store has temporarily been serving customers at Ton Park Plaza, while this new location was being built out. So the new location is at street level, located at 296 Washington Street, right between State Street Station and downtown Crossing. The hours of operation are going to be, for anyone interested in coming in on Mondays, you'll need to make an appointment, and the office is open between, the center is open between 8:30 and 12:15 p.m. And then on Tuesday and Friday, the office is open without an appointment. Service centers are open without an appointment between 8:30 and 5 p.m. And on the right there is a photo of the storefronts, the new storefront with the big header, Charlie Service Center. A little bit of rebranding there. Next slide. And the Charlie Center Service Center services, that's a tongue twister, are essentially the same as they've always been. Anyone can go there to buy passes for any MBTA transit mode. You can replace a damaged or expired Charlie card. You can request a reduced fare card, such as a top senior or blind access card. You can process a name change on any one of those fare media types. And you can add credit to a ride account. Just keep in mind, all of these actions can also be conducted virtually, but the Charlie Service Center is our dedicated in-person service center for these activities. For more information or to make a request of the center, you can call our main number at 617-222-3200. Or for more information, check out mbta.com/Charlie Service Center, all one word. Next slide. All right, and then given that it is July 25th, I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge that tomorrow is the 34th anniversary of the ADA. We all got, many folks got together to celebrate a little bit early with the city of Boston last week for a really great event. The MBTA was out in full force with staff from System-Wide Accessibility, the ride, and a number of other departments. Our general manager was there getting to know a number of riders and got to meet some of you. On the screen, we got two great photos from the event. The first on the left is a group of MBTA employees and one of our interns in front of an MBTA bus, which, thanks to our operations team, was serving as a cooling center for anyone who needed a break from that 96 degree day. And then on the right is a group of MBTA staff along with our general manager in front of the table where they were handing out information and all sorts of swag for anyone who's interested. All right, so next slide. Again, I just want to wrap up here, as always, For more information, please check out our website, mbta.com accessibility. If you're interested in learning about any of the major accessibility initiatives that are underway, we recently updated our semi-annual report, and you can get that at mbta.com/accessibility-initiatives. You can also sign up for one of our monthly newsletters by going to mbta.com/SWA sign up. Or you can join us for our next meeting, which will be another one of these RTAG general meetings on September 26th in the evening. And as I alluded to earlier in the context of diversions, if you ever have a question, complaint, or something that you want to report that went really well, we would love to hear from you. And you can do that by calling 617-222-3200 or 711 if you use TTY, or going to our website at mbta.com and clicking on the support drop-down menu at the top of the screen, or you can always send us a tweet by going to @mbta. All right, and next up, I have the pleasure of introducing Carissa Sacchetti, who is from our Fair Transformation team, the Director of Operational Readiness. And she's here to talk to you about contactless payments. Carissa?
Hi, everyone. Great to be here. Like Laura said, my name is Carissa Sacchetti, and I'm the Director of Operational Readiness and Workforce Development for what was formerly Fair Transformation. We'll talk about that in just a second. I'm really excited to be here. The last time, as far as I hear, yesterday was my 1-year anniversary with the T. The last time we presented at RTAG was all the way back in 2019. So excited to be here and give you some updates. You may have seen some of the changes that we're about to talk about already being implemented across the system. So we're excited to share what's coming next. We can move to the next slide. We can actually jump to the one after this. Great. So like I was just saying, we used to be called Fair Transformation. We've gone through a bit of our own internal rebrand. So we're now operating under the Fair Revenue Department, and we're making a transition to calling ourselves Charlie after our new Charlie system that we're implementing. Our official rebrand won't start until later in the project once the new reader screens and new cards are more prominent, but I wanted to flag that in case you start hearing people moving away from Fair Transformation and towards the word Charlie. Let's see. And because we're not rebranding yet, we're talking about this in some more customer-friendly ways. So we've come up with kind of 2 slogans for our customer-facing messaging. One of them you may have seen out in the field. Actually, you may have seen both of them. The first is new ways to pay. So this is how we're generally referring to the new system, as it features new ways for customers and riders to pay their fares, and for tap to ride. And this is specific to what we're launching now and what I'll talk about a little bit more coming up. This is really for contactless payment. So image description on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see a rider hovering a credit card over the new Charlie reader. And it is displaying a tap here screen, which is the screen that it shows when it is waiting to receive a tap from a customer. We can move to the next slide. All right. So some of the historic engagements we've had as far with accessibility at SWA, as well as broader groups to make sure we're making the system as accessible as possible, are to design the company demo lab at the Heinz Convention Center, so members of RTAG joined us there. We've done real user testing throughout the system design process with riders with disabilities, including on readers, gates, our mobile apps, our website, and the screen readers used on our digital assets. And then in collaboration, we've collaborated with the Institute for Human-Centered Design, gathered user feedback during the installation process, and made sure that we were installing things at the right height and not obstructing people using different devices, including wheelchairs. All right, next slide, please. Oh, thank you. So the new fare payment system, taking a step back, will be rolled out in phases. So this is our really high level look at the rollout. This is how it's scheduled at the moment. We know this project has been subject to change, but currently, summer 2024, and this is a definite, we are releasing contactless payment. We'll talk a little bit more about this in detail in the next slide, so I'll just skip to the next phase. In spring of 2025, we're going to introduce additional fare payment features. The main, I think, two exciting ones are Charlie cards and the mobile app. And then in phase 3, which will be spring of 2026, we'll expand to ferry and commuter rail. One thing I want to emphasize here, and we'll talk about it more later, is that there are no plans to remove any existing forms of fare payment throughout this process. That will be something done slowly and strategically over time after the whole Charlie implementation is complete. As far as image description goes, in the first column, we have summer 2024, displaying our contactless payment fare media, including a contactless credit or debit card, a mobile phone, and a mobile watch. For spring 2025, we feature the new Charlie app on a mobile phone and the new Charlie card with the new branding that I talked about earlier. And then in the column with spring of 2026 for expansion to commuter rail and ferry, we have a photo of the commuter rail and one of the ferry. All right. So what's coming next? We can go to the next slide, please. On August 1st, we'll be launching contactless payments. So riders will be able to pay for their subway and bus using a contactless credit card, debit card, mobile wallet, or watch. So we'll accept all major credit cards and mobile wallets, and it will be available on bus, Green Line, Mattapan Trolley, and atop fare gates. So again, not currently available on ferry and commuter rail, but covering all other modes of transit. Again, nothing's being taken away. You can still pay all the ways that you currently do. For image descriptions on the left-hand side of the slide, we have 3 icons, a credit card, phone, and a smartwatch. So those are the 3 new ways you'll be able to pay. And on the right-hand side, we have an icon showing a hand tapping a card to pay and icons on the modes that you'll be able to pay. So our different lines of transit and bus. The one thing I'll add for if those are confused about what a contactless card is, one of the key symbols to contactless cards are the wavy little waves, as we call them, on the contactless card itself, indicating that it can be used on the reader. Moving to the next slide, please. All right. So part of the new rider experience is an added benefit of having a Charlie account. I want to emphasize that Charlie accounts are not required. You can tap and go on the system at any point with your contactless fare or contactless cards, mobile wallet, or watches without registering for an account. However, if you'd like to, you can use charlie.mbta.com to view your trip history and fares. You can view trip history and fares regardless of whether or not you're registered. If you decide to register for an account, you get added features like seeing your transit stop in your trip history and being able to adjust your settings to include things like accessibility and language preferences. One thing just to mention is this is only for contactless payment at this point. In the future, the site will be for our account-based Charlie cards that will be rolled out next spring. And if you want to continue managing your existing Charlie card, continue going to the My Charlie site. On the right-hand side of the slide, we have an image of a laptop and a mobile phone, both displaying the homepage of charlie.mbta.com. All right. So who can use contactless? Really, the answer here is anyone can use contactless. But the system is most beneficial to pay-as-you-go riders. So those riders who aren't in pass programs and those who don't want to have to visit a fare vending machine regularly or even every time they go into a station or pay with cash. So contactless really gives you the flexibility of just showing up at a station and using your existing cards, mobile wallet, watches, the ways that you're really paying in your everyday life already, and just tapping to ride. In addition, riders within reduced fare programs can link their benefits to their contactless cards if they choose to do so. So this is not required. We've gotten a lot of questions from especially our senior populations who are concerned that this is a requirement for them to use their reduced fare benefits. It is not. It's just an added way to pay. And I think that the benefit for some of our riders, we've gotten questions around our blind access, is that if you don't want to have an additional card that you have to carry around or pull out of your wallet, you can apply that credential to your phone or your preferred way to pay, and you'll still receive your free fare. And I think that's been a point of confusion just because it is a free fare and people weren't sure how it would work on their credit card. The image description on the right-hand side of the slide, we have a reader on a bus, and the reader is displaying a green go screen. All right, let's see. So in order to to apply your reduced fare benefit, we're rolling out a feature called the Charlie Digital Assistant. So the Charlie Digital Assistant is on the charlie.mbta.com website in the bottom right-hand corner. It is essentially what we call a chatbot. You open it and it asks you a series of questions and walks you through the application process. And excuse me, I should clarify, by application, I mean applying your current reduced fare benefit to your contactless credit or debit card. You don't have to reapply for your reduced fare. So excuse me for using that word. Let's see. On the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see a photo of the Charlie Digital Assistant. It's a window with a greeting, and like I said, it gives you prompts for the specific information that it requires in order to link your reduced fare benefit. Great. One thing I want to add just to that slide, I'm sorry it wasn't up there, but for those who would like assistance using the Charlie Digital Assistant, you can call the call center on the regular call center line, which is 222-3200. You can go to the Mobility Center for assistance, and you can also go to the Charlie Service Center for assistance. So general features that we're rolling out on the with the new Charlie program are that each reader and gate has optimized colors, fonts, and contrast levels. There'll be audible tones that occur with every tap for riders who are blind or low vision. And Charlie readers will be located on top of all subway fare gates, at vehicle entrances, and in priority seating areas. So one key thing that we've added on bus is that there is a reader in the wheeled mobility area. That was something that I know was extremely important to SWA, as it provides a safer and I think more comfortable rider experience for those who are using different mobility assistance devices. Readers on vehicles and subway gates are also placed at accessible levels for riders who use wheelchairs and other mobility devices. Right, moving forward. Features that will be released in future phases of the project. So here we have a quick video clip that shows how hands-free gates work. This will be a feature rolled out later in the project. It goes pretty quickly, so we'll play it a few times and I'll describe what's happening on the screen. Are we able to play this? And it's odd that it's not.
Yeah, I'm not sure. There doesn't seem to be anything clickable.
Let me see. I have my version of the deck pulled up.
Do you want me to stop sharing and you could share?
Sure. Thank you. Sorry about that. It's been quite some time since I used Zoom, so it's just taking me a second to find my share screen. Okay. Oh, it looks like when you're in presentation mode, that's what the issue is. Let me pop down here. Okay, let me just pull up my notes. Sorry about this. Okay. All right, let me click play. I'll play it once and then I'll narrate it. Okay, I'll play it again and I'll just add a little narration. So I will cut the sound on that. Okay, so the video was taken in our vendor's lab. It shows one of the MBTA's existing fare gates, viewing it from the paid side of the station. So a rider is approaching from the unpaid side in a manual wheelchair, and on his belt, he's wearing a hands-free card. The hands-free card is being detected by the gate as he approaches and causes the gate to open automatically. So he doesn't have to stop and take out his card and tap it to the reader. The gate's open for him as he approaches. Okay. Should I hand it back to the presenter?
That would be great.
Okay, perfect.
Is that the end of your presentation, Carissa?
No,
Nope.
there's just a couple of slides left if you wouldn't mind sharing the screen again, Jen.
Sure.
There we go. Slide 27, we can go to. Okay.
This one?
Yes. So like I said, this is not a feature that's currently available. It's currently being tested internally. And we hope that it will be released and over the course of the next year or so. We can move to the next slide. Oh, of course, now it comes up, right? Okay, we can jump to the one after this. All right. So the next thing I'll talk about in relation to accessibility features are the new fare vending machines. So we have both in-station and street fare vending machines. These are placed at an accessible level for riders who use wheelchairs and other mobility devices. They're designed for riders with limited manual dexterity, and they have tactile and braille panels. They also provide audio instructions through corded headphones or speakers, and screens are viewable in high contrast mode. The privacy screen is present to darken the screen while using audio instructions, and there's an extended timeout if you need more time to complete the transaction. So a prompt will come up and allow you to indicate that you need more time rather than automatically timing you out. On the right side of this slide, we have images of the two new fare vending machines. So one that is an in-station fare vending machine. These will eventually replace the existing fare vending machines. This is the image that is to the left. The other is a street level fare vending machine. So this one is slightly smaller and it will have more limited features, but will still allow riders to reload their bypasses and more. So they both have the same accessibility features that we just discussed. All right, moving to, I think it might be our last slide. All right, and finally, we have the mobile app like we discussed. This is anticipated to be rolled out in spring of 2025. Like the website, the app complies with local and state guidelines for web accessibility. These include supporting clear, readable, and skippable navigation, properly labeling images, and correctly structuring and labeling form fields and alert messages. So it's undergone extensive usability and accessibility testing with MBTA riders. And this includes testing with various screen reader technologies. On the right-hand slide, you'll see an image of an iPhone with the new Charlie logo and mobile phone icon displayed. All right, so that concludes my portion of the RTAG presentation tonight. What questions do we have?
I think we're going to hold off on questions until the end of the entire system-wide accessibility presentation, and then folks will be able to ask you questions.
All right, great. Thanks
you all so much, Carissa.
Carissa, thank you so much. And yeah, if you wouldn't mind hanging out for a few minutes until we get to the Q&A, that would be great. All right, next up, I have to say one of the initiatives that we've been most excited about over the last couple of years is an effort that is a true collaboration between the ride and system-wide accessibility. That is the creation of the MBTA's brand new mobility center, really designed to be a one-stop shop for all of your accessibility needs. And I'm really pleased tonight to be able to introduce Nicola Mukawi, who oversees the entire center. Nicola?
Thanks, Laura. Good evening, everyone, and thanks for having me on. Like Laura said, my name is Nicola Mukome. I'm the program director, and I'm happy to share with you a bit about what we do here at the Mobility Center. I'll just explain the images. Well, okay, in the previous slide. So thanks, Jen. So we have on the top left-hand side, we have one of our travel trainers assisting a customer who some of you may know in what looks like in front of two computers in what looks like travel trip planning exercise. On the top right-hand corner, there's an image of our cutout van for the ride. Because we do here at the Mobility Center help with determinations for ride eligibility. The bottom left-hand corner is a group of individuals waiting to board a bus. And in the process, they are observing and getting the opportunity to see how to safely secure any bikes, if they had any, to ensure that when they do it themselves, they're comfortable. So they have a travel trainer and a transit coordinator along with them to just kind of help and coach them along the way. And then at the bottom right-hand corner is the image of the Mobility Center logo. It's the T sign encased in the circle with the Mobility Center to the right of it. Thanks, Jen. So like Laura has started mentioning, the Mobility Center began operations in July of 2022. The vision of the center is to be a one-stop shop offering resources of various transportation options that the T provides and the MBTA service area has. So we continue to do that, and we have a physical location at 1000 Massachusetts Avenue in Boston. And that information will be on a slide right towards the end of how you can contact us if you want to go in. And when you come to this location, you can either walk in and get assistance from our transit navigator, or you can call in and have an opportunity to have someone walk you through our different services that we provide. We do also activities out in the community, so we're very visible there. And we do trainings, we conduct presentations, and even ensure paths of travel are accessible. And another thing the Mobility Center prides itself in doing is ensuring that we are good partners with community-based organizations, as well as service providers, and to offer our consumers a more holistic approach to understanding their needs. And in so doing, if you come to our Mobility Center, you will stumble across a plethora of resource materials that we offer in the lobby area. You have access to use one of our touchscreen monitors in the lobby as well to access other services that you may have heard of or that you may need us to assist you with from the community. Next slide, please. So the key mobility center services that I'll delve into a bit more are travel training, trip planning, reduced fare applications, technology training, and ride eligibility determinations. The image on the right is an example of a typical classroom experience with a travel trainer during a group presentation, and they're exploring in this picture in particular the spider map that's on a shower curtain. And next slide, please. So with travel training, Association of Travel Instruction is where it's a nonprofit organization that helps with continuously educating our travel trainers. They have defined it as a professional activity of teaching individuals with disabilities and seniors how to access the environment and community and use public transportation independently. So we do assist, as you could, the image on the left of the screen shows a travel trainer showcasing what a current vending machine looks like and how they can process purchasing a pass for themselves or what it looks like at a subway stop. Next slide, please. So travel training options are available either on a one-to-one basis, which is the more intensive approach, and also the most customizable. They go at your own pace, and we'll delve into that a bit more. Group trainings, either at the MBTA Emergency Training Center or at a community gathering center or at a school, we can come out to you, and we generally provide general information and guidance on how to successfully navigate the T and all the accessibility features that come with it. And then we've also started encouraging our partners in terms of agencies to also participate in these presentations and understanding the different services that the Mobility Center offers, and the focus is on ensuring that they, when they are referring people, they have the correct information. Next slide, please. So with one-on-one travel training, there is a criteria that for everyone's safety, that we kind of encourage. We do encourage a level of independence to be able to cross the street successfully, the ability to stay safe in the community and not to just wander off. We do also, for individuals who are visually impaired or have are legally blind, we do ask that they have some O&M exposure prior to starting travel training with one of our travel trainers who are sensitized to the training needs of that population. And we would love to go everywhere that the commuter rail goes to, but we do have a limit that for now we go up to zone 3 on the commuter rail, but we do cover everywhere else the MBTA bus and subway runs. Thank you. Next slide. And the process of how that looks like. So an individual would call or get a referral in from a provider, could be a teacher, could be a doctor, could be a caseworker. They could call in, they could email us, and that intake goes to the travel training team, and they set up time with the individual who's interested in travel training to understand what their goal is. That goal then is broken down into understanding the planning needs of that particular trip. The travel trainer goes out into the community and for themselves ensure that it is accessible and the best route is available to the individual depending on their needs at that time. And then one-on-one sessions do begin. It's an image in front of you with various shapes and the sizes is intentionally set so that you know that this is most likely the bulk of the travel training experience. The one-on-one sessions, we don't have a limit, which is really nice. We do go at the pace of the individual. The travel trainer and the trainee are constantly in communication, and if there's a guardian involved, they too are at play to understand how they are progressing in learning a particular goal. And we always want to make sure through shadowing that we are confident that this individual will successfully travel train on their own. And so we also spend quite a bit of time on that as well before we kind of graduate you out of the program per se, of which you can always call us back if you need additional training on a different route or more information about anything that the travel trainer may have shared about trip planning, about how to make sure the environment that you're walking through is accessible. They are always still available to you. And also at the end of the day, we can also turn around and let the individual know, well, at this time, we need you to focus on certain aspects like safety, like the ability to cross a busy street by yourself before we can go back to defining the goal again and starting the process all over again. So this is, in a nutshell, this is what the travel training process entails. Next slide, please. And it's needless, I'm sure you're all quite aware that travel training to use the public transportation system has a lot of advantages, including allowing individuals to be more independent, participating in recreational events. It improves the outcomes of people getting employment opportunities and personal confidence and independence overall. So we always strive to ensure that everyone is aware of the benefits and the fact that they can use both the MBTA bus and subway system along with other services they may already be using. Next slide, please. Another thing that the travel training team participates in a lot is community events, and this slide just depicts the different events that we've been happy to be a part of in the recent past. From going clockwise from the bottom, well, we can start from the top left-hand corner. We've participated in barbecue events at senior centers because we always like to partner with our community organizations. And at those events, we will answer questions people may have, how to access passes and the likes. More in the middle of this slide is an image of a travel trainer engaging residents, it seems, at an event. The top right-hand corner showcases students learning how to align which train with which track as they familiarize themselves with this spider system. It's quite intense, and so catching them young is crucial. Bottom right-hand corner, travel trainers always presenting at resource fairs, ready to hand out some swag. The table, you'll find literature. We have the action in motion books that I can see, hand sanitizing, lanyards, backpacks. So we always have some goodies as well at our tables. And then at the bottom right-hand side, it's never too young to learn. We always invite groups to come through, whether it's at the emergency training center or if they invite us to come to their location in particular to just showcase what the T is doing to make sure everything's accessible to all. Next slide, please. And assistance doesn't only come in terms of just a group events. We also do trip planning, and that could be in person or over the phone. Before you hear us, not an exhaustive list of the tools that we have used thus far. We have MBTA tools. We have images of the CSAY app. We have the trip planner that one will always find on the mbta.com website. We have the M tickets for those who are on the commuter rail. and we have assisted people in signing up for the Ride Flex, just getting them to the page and getting them situated with what is required for that process to be successful. On the right-hand side of this slide, there are other community tools that we have used and found success with in ensuring that people are plugged into what transportation needs are out there in the community. We have Google Maps that is available on all computers and smartphones. We have Ride Match. Mass Ride Match is basically, if you remember your yellow pages, this is what it is in a digital format, but it's a directory of different public, private vendors who provide transportation in the greater Boston area. The transit app is not endorsed by the T, but it is helpful in ensuring that trip planning is done successfully. And then we have Proximate that's linked to anyone with an Apple phone can utilize that as well to help them navigate. Next slide, please. We're at the Mobility Center, reduced fare application, renewal and replacement is something that we can assist you with as well. From senior cards to the tap cards, and anyone who needs a blind access card as well. We do have the equipment to take your picture and to get you to that position where you're waiting on now the Charlie Service Center to send that card back over to you. So we have to update our slide on that one, but yes, we do partner with the Charlie Service Center in ensuring that you get success in applying for your reduced fare card. With technology training, we do lean heavily on the trip planning tools that as I shared with you earlier on, but we do ask customers, trainees to always bring to our attention any tools that they are using. We're always happy to learn something new, and being a one-stop shop, once we learn something, we're quick to kind of pass that along and get job aids out there to kind of help the next person who might benefit from it. So don't hesitate to share with us any new technologies that you have found as to be successful. We do help people sign up for Uber and Lyft and get them to navigate their smartphones to ensure that they are successfully plugged in as possible. And you can do this by just calling in to schedule time with us or coming to the Mobility Center to have that. Next slide, please. And last but definitely not least is the ride eligibility process. We help with the determinations, and if you click one more time, Jen, yep. And this slide just showcases what the ride eligibility process criteria is not. To be eligible to ride the ride, it is not based on your age, it's not based on income, the type of disability, mobility device, possession of a driver's license or access to the transportation. Instead, if you click one more time, thank you. It is based on an individual's ability to use the bus or the train some or all of the time on their own. So that with that criteria in place, we have a couple of steps in order for you to go through the eligibility process. Next slide, please. The Mobility Center is so proud to have created this person-centered approach, and that includes the individuals in the process, as well as anyone who you deem knows what your most limiting condition is. Next slide, please. So the first step is to reach out, and a transit navigator will collect general information to create your profile. The second step is to get the application, and we can get that to you either by sending your paper application through the mail, There's an online form that you can submit. We can email that to you, or you can also get an email copy of our fillable PDF that you can complete. If it's a PDF, hold on to. If you've printed it off and bring that to the appointment, or you can email it back to the Mobility Center. If you get a paper application, we ask that you do just hold on to it and go to step 3, which is to come in for your in-person appointment with your completed application and participate in our interview process. The interview process is designed to ask questions geared towards understanding your transportation needs and abilities. And to do that successfully, we've worked closely with industry experts to design supplemental forms that delve into some of the hidden disabilities, like a mental health guide that we kind of go through, the seizure guide, to understand and give us a clear picture of what your transportation needs are. And then as well as vision guides to ask the pertinent questions that will help you with independent travel. Next slide, please. And we've also implemented industry best practice assessments that are done by staff that have been trained and who have the educational background of either occupational therapy or physical therapy for the top 2 assessments, which are the TNEDI balance and gait, as well as the transit skills assessment. Transit skills assessment is a fancy way of saying just as evaluating your transition through different terrain to understand what is likely to be a hurdle or a stumbling block some or all of the time for you in the community. We also do the mini mental state exam, as well as the functional assessment of cognitive transit skills assessments in the office as well. Again, all this is to understand what your functional abilities are. The 6th step, next slide, please. If necessary, we do reach out to professionals that you are confident and comfortable with, because you have engaged their services, to understand further in the cases that we need that additional information. And we have specifically tailored forms for them to complete. And this then helps the eligibility team make a final determination. Next slide, please. And ultimately, if we don't need a professional verification, we delve into making that eligibility decision. And the FTA guidance gives us up to 21 days when an application is deemed complete to have given you that decision. And for the Mobility Center, a completed application is when the interview is complete, and if when necessary, the professional verification has been received complete. Next slide, please. The determination letter that we do send out all have various categories, and these are the types of eligibilities that are standards throughout the industry. Unconditional, conditional, temporary, conditional, or not eligible. For the top 4 conditions, or eligibility types, beg your pardon, the maximum certification that you can get is 3 years. And let me correct myself. For the top 2, the maximum certification you can get is 3 years. For the 3rd and 4th, which are the temporary conditionals, you can get anywhere up to a year with those. And the difference being, after receiving documentation, most likely from a professional verifier or the individual himself, when they come in to apply, they state that this is a temporary condition or a situation that they're going through, and they just need the services for a season or for a time. And then they will go back to either using public transportation or their private mode of transportation. For the not eligible, we do provide literature in that letter to other transportation options that are out there in the community that they can tap into, as well as if they would like, any additional travel training assistance or forms assistance with other services in the community. Next slide, please. And if an applicant disagrees with the outcome of the decision, the guidance is, you can appeal within 60 days upon receiving your eligibility determination. And the Mobility Center's role in this process is to gather all the information that we collected during the interview and assessments, as well as the professional verification stage, and send that over to the appeals board. And they, on their own, make a final deliberation on the outcome. An individual can opt for either a written appeal, where they write in and provide that additional information that they feel they could have shared at the interview stage, but they did not have the opportunity to do so, or they can appeal via Zoom or in person. The board then has 30 days to make a decision. And once the decision is made, it cannot be appealed. So you say, okay, so Nicola, you've shared all this information. What in a nutshell could someone expect to do at the Mobility Center? So this is a summary slide of 3 icons of just fictitious characters or potentially customers or applicants for us. And there is a table before you. And on this left column is the reason for accessing the Mobility Center, and on the right column is the experience at the Mobility Center that you will receive. So if someone has been, for instance, if someone's been a lifelong driver, but is thinking of driving less or retiring from driving, they can always access the Mobility Center to learn more about the transportation options that they have. And thinking back to the slide of the trip planning, we can both tap into the MBTA tools as well as other tools that are available for them to plan their trips to their events. And they can learn about the reduced fare cards if they're eligible for those. Another individual who could stumble across the Mobility Center would be someone who's trying to recertify after 20 years of using the ride. Remember, we certify up to for a maximum of 3 years. So they would reach out to the Mobility Center and complete their eligibility process and get their eligibility determination. And they can also sign up for other services that we provide as well at the time of interview. And the last but not least, the individual who recently became disabled or learned about the ride from a provider, they can also explore the different options that are out there. The nice thing about Mass Ride Match, it offers city and town specific transportation needs, so we can delve into that for the individual at the pace that they like, provide them information about the phone numbers to reach out to, as well as give them a high level overview of what to expect cost-wise and times of operation of that service provider in the area. And they can also learn about the ride as well and apply if they'd like to. Next slide, please. And this is my last slide, but it's very important for us because we like to hear from you, is our contact information. In person, we are located at 1000 Massachusetts Avenue, Suite 201. We're on the second floor, the only one on the second floor, so the elevator will bring you right up to us. And our welcoming transit navigator will be there Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5 p.m. to welcome you in. You can call us at 617-337-2727 or 711 for relay calls. Our website is mbta.com/accessibility/mbta-mobility-center. We have 2 email addresses and we will get your emails, is howtotravel@mbta.com, as well as mbta-mobility@mtm-inc.net. And you also find us on Facebook at the MBTA Mobility. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you so much, Nicola. It is now our portion for questions for system-wide accessibility, contactless payment launch, and or the Mobility Center. To indicate that you have a question, please use Zoom's raise hand feature located at the bottom of the screen. When you raise your hand, it alerts that you'd like to speak, and then I will unmute you to ask questions in the order that you've raised your hands. To speak, click reactions, then raise hand. On the keyboard, you can use the Alt and Y key. And if you're calling in, you can click *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute. And I will go ahead and start with Rhoda.
Hi. It's not a question, it's a statement, and it's about the mobility center. Yesterday I was supposed to come in for my recertification. And when I called to do the recertification, I had informed the person that I spoke to, the intake person, not once, but 6 times that I had changed my address. I had moved. I kept giving the correct address. And when she booked me to come in last week, she had booked me to come in yesterday to do my recertification. She said, well, we'll call and schedule the ride for you. Well, the ride was scheduled. I got the call on Tuesday night. And I was downstairs 20 minutes beforehand to make sure I wouldn't miss it. And it never came. And about right around the time it was supposed to come, I said, let me call TRAG, make sure they had my correct address. TRAG did not have my correct address. They went to the wrong address. Interesting. I emphasized 6 different times on the call what my new address was. And at the end of as the call ended, I said, please, you do have my correct address. Yes. And then she repeated it back to me. So why was the call not, why was when the ride was booked, my correct address wasn't given? And I was picked up, I was supposed to be there at 3:15. My pickup time was at 1:29. At 1:28 is when I called TRAG. From 1:40 till 1:40 to about 2:40. I was on hold. And then as it reached the 1 hour point, I got cut off. I refused to call back to the mobility center because I've already been on hold for the whole hour. So I ended up calling the complaint line, the MBTA complaint line, and Eddie Romos was very, very helpful, the supervisor on the complaint line. And he made sure the TRAG got my correct address. However, no vehicle could be sent to me, and I couldn't reach the mobility center after being on hold for the whole hour with no call taker. We'll be with you in a minute. As soon as the next call taker is available, we'll talk, answer your call. Not for a whole hour. At this point, my life, I'm busy. I don't have time. I scheduled it specifically for a particular day that I knew I was available all day. I wasted an entire day, and I'm upset. And at this point, I'd rather just go on the flex program, give me Uber, give me 20 rides instead of the 10, and I'll be done with the mobility center and the ride, because this is it was the tip of the iceberg. So I'll end it, Kat. Okay, I'll end it there.
Okay, thanks, Rhoda. I appreciate you sharing. Nicola or Michelle, do you have a response to that?
Thanks, Rhoda, for reaching out and letting us know about your experience. It was already brought to our attention, and I'm sure I can relate with you on that, how frustrating that could have been to be on hold for an hour. I will definitely take the information you've shared along with the research on what happened and get back to you in a timely manner. That is unfortunate, but we do value you coming through to recertify with us. It's really important.
Thanks, Nicola. Michelle?
Rhoda, I just want to say I'm sorry to hear about your experience, first off. It's disappointing to hear, and it sounds like there is potentially a number of issues. This wasn't brought to my attention until this afternoon. We can ensure that it is fully investigated and that we determine where the problems lie. And I know that the team has been in touch with Nicola and they're going to look at it thoroughly. Among other things, the hold time and the disconnect as well. So we will follow up with you. Again, I'm sorry for your experience.
Thanks, Michelle. Next, I will call on Susie.
Hi, I just wanted to, first of all, I was grateful for the MBTA's, the ride as people are getting their eligibility interviews done, that they are already provided a ride ID number. It gives them hope, you know, and I know it takes 21 days afterward, but sometimes it doesn't, but I've just been seeing that it actually helps people get over the phobias or the social anxiety of going to go through the assessment process, which it can be really daunting. And then I just clicked on the link that you guys were providing about the mobility center, and no, I'm sorry, the contactless reduced fares, and it said that it was flagged as a suspicious site. And so I know that there's been a lot of issues with CloudStrike and a whole bunch of other Windows-based issues, but just FYI, just, I don't know, update, whatever. Thanks. That's me.
Marissa, can you double check that for us? Make sure we have the right link, or let us know if there is an issue with that site.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Let me see. We do have a member. Oh yeah, I'm guessing it's not the right link because I also got a suspicious link message. So let me just update that really quickly.
Thanks.
It's the right link. It just looks like Zoom is flagging it for some reason.
Not only Zoom, but Windows, and
okay.
just FYI.
All right.
Thank you, Susan.
Well, it looks like Carissa dropped in the chat the new link. So thank you so much for letting us know, Susie. And next I will call on Michael. Michael, I see that you wrote a concern in the chat related to the ride. If you want to share the same thing, I'm just going to ask that you wait until the end of the ride presentation. But if you have something else for the groups that went beforehand, then go ahead and unmute yourself.
Yes, hi, thanks, Kat. I just did write that in the chat, so we can do that later. But I'm curious, how often do you need to be recertified at, for the ride? Because if we're permanently disabled, why would we have to get recertified? Or am I mistaken about that?
Yeah. This is Nicola. Oh.
Nicola, I was going to let you take it. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you for that question. This always comes up, and it's an important question. If you recall the slide I brought up of what the ADA eligibility process is about, it's not geared towards one's age or disability, but geared towards understanding your functional abilities, meaning what helps or hinders you from traveling independently, some or all of the time, in the community. So that may change with time, and that's totally okay. And so we accommodate for that by having you come through every 3 years.
So can I follow up with that, Kat?
Yep, go ahead.
All right, so I understand you want to meet the needs of the rider. But if the disability is not going to improve or it's going to get worse, why inconvenience us when it's pretty obvious for many of us that we can't drive and we never will be able to, and hopefully we'll be able to use the ride, but our condition is bad and it may get worse, but it will never improve. It seems silly to have somebody come in every 3 years. Yes, I can understand once, but every 3 years, it doesn't make sense to me. Tell me how that makes common sense.
I can speak to that a little bit more. And we had mentioned earlier that we do follow industry standards, but there are situations where customers' conditions do change and that we aren't able to meet their needs as well. And that's something that we need to be aware of too. And we've had situations where customers' conditions have changed and we needed to make adjustments to the service. For example, perhaps they're going to travel with a PCA.
Thanks, Michelle, for further explaining.
Can
Thanks,
I add
Mike.
one
Yep.
note on
Go
that?
ahead.
Thanks,
The other thing that we consider is, again, functional mobility, not necessarily your condition specifically. And so there are many ways that your functional mobility might improve while your condition stays stable or potentially even decreases. And that could be using a new mobility device, being on a new treatment, among many others. And so while, yes, I hear that if you have a lifelong condition that you know will not be going away, it's not a given for us that you will never be able to use the bus or train. And again, we don't take any sort of driving abilities into account, because what makes someone eligible for the ride is that they cannot use the bus or train some or all of the time. So that's a little bit of an explanation of why it is still important for us to check in every 3 years.
Well, it's all informative, but I mean, I would think, I still don't agree. And I think that you could probably handle this with a Zoom call after the initial, for those people like me who are not going to improve and my functionality is going downhill. You could handle it with a Zoom call and a note from a doctor and not inconvenience us, like the woman earlier who had to blow a whole day. And even if we're not inconvenienced by, the system, it still takes 3-4 hours, 5 hours to go in, be interviewed, and go out. I don't agree, and I think you should have an alternative for those individuals who, who are as I described. But anyway, I'm done, Kat.
Thank you so much for sharing, Michael.
Yep.
Tom, I'm going to let you go, and then I will have Michelle start her presentation just for time purposes.
Okay, everybody hear me okay? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I have a question for Michelle. Hey, Michelle. Would my friend Mike actually benefit from a visit of going to the mobility center to discuss about like of how long he's been taking the ride and why he's still only eligible for 10 trips when others I know have 40 trips on the ride flex. And I was also wondering, Michelle, if you could also give me an update on the on the positions that have been filled, with the supervisory positions that have been filled and not filled yet. Remember, I was asking about that the last time and everything.
Sure. So you jumped ahead just a little bit. With respect to RideFlex, the customer's usage of ride transportation is considered when making a determination about how many trips to allocate. And we've shared with the group here that it's reevaluated or reassessed twice a year. So I believe the review will occur in August.
Okay.
But they'll take a look at the customers and their usage of ride service and then make a determination moving forward. And if you let me present, I can speak to the vacancies after the presentation. It was actually, I think it was at the tail end of the presentation. Was there another question that I missed, Tom?
Oh yeah, I was just wondering if you can give me an update on the positions that have been filled. Because remember you said you were short of employees the positions that you need to fill, and I was just wondering if you had a general update that I could tell Mike what was going on as far as like them being filled so the ride can work smoother. Because remember you said you had a
Yes,
lot of
yes.
jobs you were.
As a matter of fact, I will
It's a
speak to that at
perfect
the back
leeway.
end of the presentation, Tom.
Yeah, this is a perfect leeway into Michelle's presentation. So
Oh,
I
okay. You mean
will
the presentation.
go
Okay.
to the next slide and I will hand
thanks.
it over to Michelle. Thanks
Okay.
everyone for your questions.
If we can move on to one more slide. Regarding ride service and ridership, there is a chart displayed here that trends our service from July of 2023 to June of 2024. June ridership was down slightly from May. We provided 136,000 trips. They were broken out by 77,000 provided by our dedicated service providers. 53,000 were demand or flex trips, and 6,200 were integrated, which are what we refer to as trips shifted by track. If we go to the next slide, please. On-time performance is trended here from the same period of July 2023 through June of 2024. June, we achieved 94% on-time performance, which is a 2% increase from May, and a 9% increase from June of 2023, year over year. We also track and trend trips that exceed 120 minutes, and that continues to decline significantly from July of 2023, which we were at, I believe it was 0.67, and we are down below 0.10. I think it was 0.02 were the trips per thousand, the pickups, the late pickups per thousand trips. If we can go to the next slide. There's two slides here that again are trending the same period of time from July 2023 to June 2024. And the one on the left tracks average speed of answer or hold times. And in July of 2023, we were just under 3 minutes. In June of 2024, last month, we were at 0.32, which is just about 19 seconds. The call volume is tracked here as well. June was a little bit lower than the prior month, May, and we were at just about 87,000 calls for the month of June. If we can go to the next slide. We also track the share of calls answered within 2 minutes. And the same period of time we're trending, July 2023 through June of 2024. We increased from just above 40% of calls being answered within 2 minutes to 95% of our calls. We can go to the next slide. I changed the title of this slide, and some of you have probably heard me speak to this before, but I'm now referring to it as ride service feedback. The rate of complaints has trended lower since a spike in the spring. Same time period is being trended here. Complaints per 1,000 trips. In June, we experienced 155 complaints. However, I would like to share, and I did last month as well, we had 46 commendations, which is a high for our team. So we are definitely trending in a positive direction. And worth adding that there are 344 inquiries that we fielded for the month of June. You go to the next slide, please. Laura beat me to this one, but I did want to share that we had 2 tables at ADA Day, and it was nice to meet some people out there, some of our customers. Also, wanted to share with you about what we do with respect to ride appreciation. National Express, which is now going by We Drive You, held 2 barbecues to feed their drivers. And we had staff there at both barbecues, and I was fortunate enough to have been there on July 9th. Very hot day, but very happy customers and great food. And you can see that the drivers are responding to the efforts by our service providers. And the other item here, Tom, is what I believe you were asking about. We did fill 2 additional positions.
Hello.
I'm
What?
sorry. Did I hear somebody?
Somebody
Okay. We did fill 2 additional positions in the month of July. One is a manager of operations, and the other is a contract administrator. And we're eager to work closely with them and to introduce them to some of the RTAG members. They have been very busy doing site visits. They've spent a lot of time out in the field. I know they've been to the mobility center and they've been to our service providers. And I also believe they've been to track. So we'll make an effort to bring them to a meeting and introduce them to you. I'm sorry, was that somebody asking a question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And we are going to continue our hiring effort.
Hello.
We still have 9 vacancies, Tom. That's what I believe you were asking for. And we are slowly making our way through those vacancies to get them posted. We have, I believe, 2 underway that are being reviewed by Human Resources. And we're hopeful that September and October we'll be introducing additional staff members. And again, our expectation is that will improve our oversight and allow us to engage more in depth with our customers, expanding outreach and education efforts, and really diving deep into customer complaints and the process. If we go one more slide. This is something really nice to share. This was a nice presentation to put together. Veterans Transportation, one of our 2 dedicated service providers, was named as one of the greatest workplaces in 2024 by Newsweek. And there are 3 images here. One is a screenshot from the Newsweek webpage. And it has a lot of smiling faces here and announces America's Greatest Workplaces 2024. On the upper right-hand side, we have a driver assisting a customer to board a ride vehicle. And on the lower right side, a smiling and happy and fairly new driver at Veterans. And if you link to the website, they actually interview, they provide an opportunity for, I believe it's 3 drivers to speak to their love and passion for driving for the ride. And if we go to the next slide, I think that might be, here we go. This is a slide that spoke to what I spoke to earlier about positions, that we are down from 13 vacancies in the prior fiscal year to 9 now, and are hopeful that we will continue to fill those positions. And at this point, I can open, I believe that I see a hand raised, and I believe that there were some questions.
Thank you so much, Michelle. It is now time for a question and comment period for the ride. To indicate that you have a question, please use Zoom's raise hand feature located at the bottom of the screen. When you raise your hand, it alerts the moderator that you'd like to speak. The moderator will unmute attendees to ask questions in the order that they raise their hands. Again, to speak, click reactions, then raise hand. You can use the keyboard and click on the Alt and Y keys. And if you're calling in, you can press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute. And I will hand it over to Rashad for the first question.
Hello, Rashad.
Rashad, you're currently muted.
How about now?
You're good.
We can hear you.
Okay. I wanna give you a lot of credit for the call center. We used to wait half an hour to get somebody online, and now it's great. They answer right away. The wait period it's nothing, and that makes a hell of a difference. The only issue I have, I've been using the ride more often lately because of a job. I expected to increase my my Flex account. Did not happen. My understanding every 6 months was January 1st and July 1st. I think I heard something to the effect that it's going to be in August. I don't know if that's true, but the ride be nothing but a nightmare. I'm sorry to tell you this, and I don't have time to put a complaint every time. I asked to be somewhere at 8:30. I've been picked up at 6 o'clock in the morning, sitting in the car for 2-3 hours. Okay, being late to a restaurant for an hour for a birthday party, invited to somebody's birthday. I was late for an hour, a home party. It just, and I've been told by one of the drivers that we are not priority unless we're going to a doctor appointment, which I don't know if that's true or not.
That's incorrect.
I'm blind. Right, I'm blind. Also, I know there's difference now. They stop at my gate and they just wait there. I'm waiting for someone to come and ring my bell or flag me sitting outside waiting for them. That doesn't happen. I call so many times and they tell me the driver waiting outside. I'm like, they usually come and get us, but I think I'm not sure what changed, but I'm not sure why the Flex did not. I did put a complaint for the Flex, and I've been told that they evaluate the accounts and they will increase it when it's eligible, whatever that is. Can you shed some light on all of this? Thank you.
Yes, Rashad. First off, again, sorry for your experience. None of us like to hear that you've had a negative experience on the ride. I'm going to ask a few questions without diving into details, but I'd like to I have your name, and what I will do is take it back to the team and have them pull your recent trips. Has this been a recent experience since we've been adding drivers?
Yes, the driver they don't seem to be basically told what to do with a blind person. They just wait on their car, or they just wait by their car, wait for you to come in, spot them. So I'm not sure what's going on.
At first glance, I hear that it sounds like there's a challenge with the drivers and the assistance that they're providing. What our team does when we receive complaints is we do investigate, and some of the investigation that we do is retrieve video footage to review and use that as an opportunity for the providers to not just address the driver, depending on the issue, but to use that to retrain or offer refresher training to drivers. Some of the things I think about are these new drivers that need refresher training? Are these existing drivers? And with respect to the trips that you booked and the duration, I suppose, of your trip, I would like to have a staff member take a look at that to see if we can do something about how you book. Are you booking for pickup or arrival time? And is there a challenge with, are you in a gated community?
No, I'm not in a gated community. I live on a 3-family home.
Okay.
And
I thought I heard you say gate.
no, there's a gate at my driveway, and there's a small door they can enter, and I've never had a problem for somebody to come in and get me, except lately. I'm not sure what's going on, and I did not put a complaint because it just every time I take the ride, there's something, and I'm just tired of putting complaint, to be honest with you. Maybe I should, but I just,
Well,
every
we
time.
use that as a measure of how we're performing. And you heard me speak to, hey, our complaints are down. Every complaint is investigated. And if we make an observation from your complaint that you're not receiving the appropriate assistance, that they're not going to the door, that's something that we can have our providers address.
Okay,
But I do have your name.
Okay.
And I can have somebody investigate this, and we can bring the concerns to our providers. And I would be happy to have a staff member follow up with you.
Thank you. How about the Flex account? And when do they look into it? I thought it's only every 6 months, January.
It's twice a year, and the next evaluation would be in August.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Rashad. I'm going to turn to the chat for a question that was just asked, or an experience that was just shared from Sandy. She said that she scheduled with the ride as she does not have Flex. And the text said Userve, a real-time arrival estimate is not available for this provider. So she waited 1.5 hours, eventually ride sent Lyft, but online it says I was a no-show. The lack of real-time arrival is unfortunate, and I can only wonder if not only I, but the ride does not actually know what's happening with Userve trips. So it was Userve that was a no-show, not me, but my account just says no-show.
Okay. Elizabeth, I hate to put you on the spot here. Could I ask you to speak to the Userve concern?
Sure. We do investigate any complaints we get from Userve, and we are able to see their data, not as in real time as we can for our own vehicles, but shortly after. So if you have a no-show that was the fault of the Userve driver and not you, if you submit a complaint, we can very easily look into that for you and resolve the no-show on your account.
Thank you.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Debbie, you're next.
Okay, hello. Thanks so much for having this. I always have something I need to say most meetings. So I have 3 questions. One is, of the complaints that you said the complaints are down, but what percentage of those complaints have to do with the Flex program, with rideshare? Do you happen to know that number?
I can tell you that we do trend them. I don't have the information here in front of me, but the majority of the complaints that we experience, the top trend is being picked up outside of the service window and not related to RideFlex, no.
Oh, okay. So you would have no idea how many of those RideFlex actually service animal denials?
We have
I can chime in on this.
We have few service animal denials submitted to us, and I don't know if we have anything recent, but that's a topic that's discussed. We have weekly meetings with our non-dedicated service providers, Uber and Lyft, and that is something that is discussed. And I believe that there was an extremely productive meeting that Kat hosted on behalf of RTAG for the customers, and some assurances about the strides that Uber and Lyft were making with respect to service animal denials. But if they're brought to our attention, we bring them up immediately, and I believe the driver is terminated.
So, I mean, I recently have filed complaints for the service animals. So I know for sure there's some recent ones there, at least for me. The other thing is, so it's really, and you already know, it's not like I'm telling you something you don't know. It's really cumbersome to do these complaints because you have to do a complaint to Uber and all of that. Then you have to call the ride and do the complaint to the ride. And I'm wondering what progress has been made to streamline that reporting process.
Elizabeth, can I tap you
sure.
again? Thank you.
I can chime in. We have always just asked for a heads up on this because we can handle this with Uber more directly and make sure that they're investigating. There is no system that would allow you to submit a complaint to both Uber and the ride at the same time, unfortunately. When people do submit them directly to us, we can forward them on to Uber. The issue is that we cannot see all the details that Uber can. And so it is helpful for them to get a request from your own account so they can look into your own trip history rather than from us, and understand exactly who the driver was that you are talking about. So yes, unfortunately, it is a two-step system, and I don't see a way around that, at least in the near future.
Because I know that we had talked previously about the possibility of somehow streamlining it, because it really is cumbersome. And I believe there's probably a lot more complaints out there, but like Rashad, people are getting tired of doing the complaints. It's a long process to do the Uber plus the MBTA one. It's just very cumbersome. And I do it because I know the value of it, but there's many people who will, they're not going to put the effort in. They're just tired of it because the process, the results are not there like people wish they would be, because it's still happening. I mean, unbelievably, it's still happening. I have one more question. So we know that we want people to file the complaints, right? There's no question about that, because you guys don't have your actual accurate numbers if people don't file the complaints. So how can we make sure that everybody knows how to file a complaint, and those people who have flex rides, if they have a complaint, like how do we need to get the word out there that we really need the complaints, and how do we do that system-wide so people, like a reminder, like maybe a phone number that you don't have to go through 5 different push this button, that button, that sort of thing. I'm just trying to figure out the best way that the ride can get the message out to people, how important it is for them to file the complaints, especially with regard to rideshare.
Thank you, Debbie. And this is one of the things that I enjoy about connecting with RTAG and hearing from the customers and working on creatively solving problems. I can say that Elizabeth spoke to it a little bit, but we subsidize individual accounts. So you're actually using your own, and you know this, this is for the benefit of others. You're actually using your own personal account, and we don't have insight when you book demand trips, which is why we ask you to share that information. That information doesn't come through us. Separately, how do we get the word out? We are increasing the volume of seat drops that we do and communications to our customers. And I think that this is an opportunity to collaborate with our RTAG partners about information that we can place on those newsletters and seat drops and emails. And this certainly sounds like something that's important that we should push out on our next communication.
Yeah, that'd be great. I think that would help. Absolutely do.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Debbie.
Okay.
So we do have 3 people with their hands raised, and I see that we have about 14 minutes left. So if you all could just keep it to a couple of minutes, that would be great. Michael, you are next.
Yeah, thank you, Kat. Kat, I already spoke, and I'm happy to yield to the other people. I wrote my issue in the chat, and perhaps the speakers could review it and let me know why it's so hard to get the Wave Flex, ride trips in the suburbs. I feel
Michael,
like, yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, that's it.
I understand that's a challenge, and I can tell you that there are a number of things that we're doing. And Elizabeth could probably piggyback off of what I say, but we do subsidize WAVE vehicles to ensure that there are a sufficient number or an increased number of WAVE vehicles. And then we also work to strategically locate them based on data that we have available and the needs and the asks of our customers. Elizabeth, is there anything that you would add?
No, that's all. That's right. And I've noted your comment, Michael, so I'm gonna look into it.
Yeah, sure.
In your area.
Yeah, I
We do try to
appreciate it.
match the supply with where we see demand coming in.
Yeah.
And also just want to remind anyone who is a wheel or power chair user that is on the Ride Flex, you can sign up for both Uber and Lyft. So if Lyft does not have drivers available, you can always try Uber. But I understand that it is an imperfect system that we are frequently working with.
Right.
We'll look
And
into your specific situation.
yeah, thanks. And if someone would rather call, they can call me next week, and we'll talk more about it. But I'll yield my time to the next people.
Okay, and I just want to mention here, you've heard me smile and proudly share our improvements with you. We're not done yet. We recognize that there's a lot more we can do. And some of that work is by staffing our team up and just expanding what we can do and what we can offer. It's improving oversight of our contracts and our performance. It will be tracking and trending these experiences and complaints and improving our quality assurance. We know we're not there yet, but we also think that with technology, which we're exploring, that we can continue to make improvements moving forward, but we're not going to sit back. We know that there's still plenty of work to be done.
Kat, can you still hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. I just want to say, even though I am registering a complaint, I am so thrilled with what you all do that my life, well, I couldn't live the life I do without you. So thank you all very, very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and our team appreciates it. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Michael. Debbie Weathers, you're next.
Hey, hi, how you doing?
Right,
I just
Debbie.
like to agree with the other guy that was on earlier about them not ringing the bells. A lot of them won't, a lot of them don't ring the bell.
Okay.
And I've had track call me, your ride downstairs, and I'll look out the window and I don't see the ride, so I'll go back and sit down. And then finally track will call me, your ride's downstairs. Well, nobody rang my bell. So I understand what he's saying. A lot of them won't ring the bell. And also, they're still putting all this stuff. I come down and the whole front seat's loaded with bags, their duffel bags and all of that. And I thought they had stopped them from doing that.
Debbie, I can speak to the bags. And for the people, the benefit of the people here, we do video audits and that we have people reviewing video footage daily to observe, make observations about the drivers, the behavior, and potential violations of policy. And I can tell you that the bags on the seats is something that we bring to our providers that the drivers are not supposed to be doing. So
because I've asked them to move and some of them get attitude. This one, oh, somebody else is sitting there. I said, who's sitting there? And stuff like that. I don't want to argue with them. I just want them to move the stuff out the seat. And that's it.
We will stay on top of that and we will bring it up with the next provider meeting. Thank you.
And like the other thing they say, like they can complain about getting to your appointments like hour and a half early. I try to call the night before when they give me my ride times, and I call the night before to try to make adjustments. I can never get any adjustments made, but they always say to call the night before, and then I send a letter in, and then they'll tell me, oh, we can jump you off a half an hour. I say, yeah, a half an hour before my time. I understand all of that, but I've already sat on here a half an hour longer before they drop. Then they give them the drop off time as 9:30. Say I want to be there at 10. I'll sit on there. They'll get me there like 5 minutes to 9, and I'll sit there until 9:30. And then when I put in the complaint and I explain all of that I got here at 9 o'clock, I had to stand on the van for half an hour. When they send back the letter, they cut up the entire time that I had been there a half an hour before my drop-off time, and it turns into nobody wants to shop for 2.5 hours.
Debbie,
And I don't understand how to get that adjusted. No matter, I tried different ways of doing it, and none of them are working.
Debbie,
so I'm at a standstill. Yeah.
So we are hopeful that the increase in drivers, and we're going to continue our hiring efforts, will allow us to schedule trips more efficiently. Historically, some of the challenges have been combining trips together in a less than efficient manner. So we're hopeful that as we increase drivers, we'll see improvements in performance. On top of that, and I know it seems like it's a long way off, and we are fortunate that we had an RTAG member sit on our technical evaluation committee for software, but we are closing in on a software award. And we do have expectations of improved scheduling and improved customer communications. Stay tuned. You will be hearing from us, and we'll be soliciting some input from RTAG members and our customers.
Is somebody talking to dispatch? Because that's where I think the problem lies. Because the entire time I was there for that 2.5 hours, there was a van sitting in the parking lot the whole time for 2.5 hours. And they claimed why they were late picking me up and they couldn't find another driver. That driver had been sitting there from 9 o'clock until almost 12:30 when it was time for me to leave. She'd been sitting there 2.5 hours. So I think a lot of it has to do with dispatch.
Was that a recent experience?
Yes, this was, let me see. This was June 22nd. I got the letter back.
Okay.
Where they cut off the first half hour that I sat on the bus waiting for the 9:30 so I can get off the half an hour before my 10 o'clock drop off.
Okay.
Because they can't drop you off more than a half an hour. And
right.
I know that. So I sat there from 5 minutes to 9 till 9:30 for my 10 o'clock drop off. But they do that a lot, even though I keep trying to adjust it. Oh, we got other drivers, and every time it's like 2.5 hours. And then when they add when you give them the pickup time, they'll add 20 minutes onto that. 25 to 30 minutes onto that.
So
and then that'll be late.
I'm sorry. I don't want to. I don't want to be dismissive, but I do see there's one other hand raised. Debbie, I hear you.
Okay.
And some of what I've shared already is we do audit performance. We do take these issues to our providers for their attention. We investigate them. Drivers are disciplined when we make observations about.
But I don't think it's the drivers. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's not the driver's fault. The drivers aren't doing this.
You're speaking to inefficient scheduling.
Yeah, dispatch and schedule is doing this. It has nothing to do with the drivers. That's what I keep trying to infiltrate. It's not the drivers. They're only doing what they're told. It's dispatch and scheduling. Because I remember before when it was separate units, dispatch knew where all their drivers were. That's why I said this guy sat here 2.5 hours the entire time I was at the supermarket, and he never moved.
I would like to look at this instance in particular that you're sharing with us.
Okay.
If you don't mind, and we can follow up, but I would like to get to, I know there's only a few minutes left, and I see Paul has his hand raised as well. Debbie, thank you. And I don't mean to cut you short. I'm just trying
That's okay. That's okay. I know you're short on time, but it's not the drivers. Don't blame this on the driver. This is scheduling dispatch.
Thanks, Debbie. I appreciate you sharing. Paul, you're the last one. Go for it.
All right. Thank you, Michelle, and thank you, Kat. I'd like to piggyback on Debbie's questions about the complaint process with RideFlex and service dog refusals. I've submitted 3 complaints this year about that very issue, and Lyft had said they would email me back with what they did to address the complaint, but I've never had a complaint response from Lyft.
Paul, we can get right on that. We can follow up with Lyft. That was a Lyft complaint about a service animal
refusal. Yes.
Okay.
3 of them.
And I know that Megan is on top of this, and we will make sure that we follow up with Lyft and get a response for you.
Okay, very good.
Great, Paul. And Paul and Debbie, just so you know, we have also been continuing discussions with Uber and Lyft representatives about the possibility of, what it would look like to have a streamlined complaint process. So we continue to chat about that and see if that's a possibility. All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
very good.
Thank
That
you.
sounds really, really positive, and thank you for your work on that. I know you guys were really working hard on that.
Yeah, I want to thank you too. This is Debbie. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you all for coming. I just want to let you know that our next meeting again will be, we won't have one in August, so it'll be September 26th from 5:30 to 7:30 on Zoom. And if anything comes up in the meantime that we chatted about today or anything we shared in our RTAG update, like center running bus lanes, service animal refusals, all of that, reach out. We're always looking for input. And I hope that you have a good rest of your night.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank
Thank
you.
you to
Have
all
a
the
great
presenters
night.
as well.
Good night,
Thanks.
everyone.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everybody. Yeah,
everyone.
thank you. Bye-bye.